it's me, Renee. I'm back. And as you can see from the title, this is my Eurovisionathon recommendations. So I've done this now 2 years. Yeah, actually, I think I've done it 2 years. But yeah, I want to do it again this year. And yeah, as you can see, this is my current recommendations for the Eurovisionathon. So yeah, in case you're new here or for some reason you haven't heard, for some reason, like everyone has heard of it. But yeah, if you haven't heard of the Eurovisionathon, it's uh, it's it's a readathon that goes from April till May, and the idea is that you read one book. I suppose you can read several books, but like at least one book. Uh, well, I suppose you don't have to do all the countries, but like you focus on the countries that um participate in Eurovision. So yeah, so you can actually also read Australia if you want. Uh, but yeah, it's not like you have to read like one book for every country, though I suppose if you kind of want to do that or try to do it, you could do that. That is possible. Though, yeah, there are quite a lot of countries. I mean, yes, this readathon goes, it starts in March and ends in April, well, starts in April and ends in May. But still, I mean, I don't know if you have time to read from all the countries. So I think there's like 40 countries, no, 40, 35 countries that are participating. So it's quite a lot. But like, yeah, the idea is to kind of read from different places in that take participate in Eurovision. Those most of them are in Europe, but yeah, you can also read from Australia. And yeah, so I've done this now 2 years. I can't tried often to like do like from a lot of countries. I suppose as I often do, like I feel like, oh, I want to do all the prompts, and that can be fun, but can also take the fun out of it. So it's also like, I suppose depends on like how much time you have to read. I'm not sure I'm gonna do like all the read from all the countries this year, but I want to participate and read some books anyway. Also, yeah, in case you don't know, if you haven't used been a part of this readathon anymore, before, um, the what again? The yeah, it's perfectly allowed to read one book that takes place in several countries. Like you can, for example, use, I don't know, the Sister of Traveling Pants that takes place both in Greece but also in the United States. So like, yeah, that one you can use for Greece. Or if there's a book that takes place in Greece, France, and Italy, you can use it for whatever country you want to. So yeah, so I suppose if you want to if you want to read a non-fiction, well, like a travel log, a travel story that kind of takes place over several countries, you can easily do that. So yeah, I suppose the rules, either the author has to be from the place, or the book can be set in the place, and it doesn't have to be like completely set there, but just set there in somehow. And also think I might be wrong here, but yeah, but think also like if the author isn't from that place, but like say like a Norwegian author decided to move to, I don't know, Italy, then you can use that author from for Italy as well. Though I suppose Italy's not that difficult to like find from, but yeah, I suppose like these tricks is kind of suppose it's probably it's probably most used for like the difficult countries because yeah, it's not like that easy to find countries from everywhere, even if it's still Europe. So yeah, that's also a way to do it. But yeah, yeah, I've had talked a bit now. Talked to you off. Yeah, well, I talked for 4 minutes. Let's get to the books I'm recommending. Also, yeah, another addendum. I've tried to find some books that I didn't have in last year's recommendation video because I did all of these last year as well. Though, yeah, there's also gonna be some books that I recommend all the time because I can't help myself. They're amazing. People need to read them. So yeah, and let's get So yeah, I have a mix of books that I read last year that I did like after last year's video and books that I've talked about last year and yeah. And yeah, I suppose you know what, I'm just gonna move on. Yeah. Firstly, we're gonna go with books that can work from several places. So for example, we have the Loki book. This is the Norwegian version. But yeah, it's by Louis Stowell. It's a middle grade, first a middle grade series. And it's all about Loki, the Norse god, or Norse god. He's not a god, he's a Norse, what is he again? He's like a Norse elf. No, it's not elf. Yeah, yeah, he's a dark elf. I think it's a dark elf. But yeah, Loki from Norse mythology. So yeah, he's done a lot of bad stuff. So like just before this book starts, he's been turned into a 11-year-old. So he has to live in England for some time to kind of be better, to like to do good deeds. And he has to live with Thor, Heimdall, and who's the other person again? Give me a moment. Give me a little moment. And Hirokin, which I don't not quite sure who he is, but yeah, they're all kind of people from Norse mythology. So yeah, this one you can use for Norway, Norse mythology, but I think like often people think Norse mythology equals Norway. It's like no, the Swedes also believed in Thor and Odin and all those people. So if you want to use it for Sweden, you can do that. If you want to use it for Denmark, you can do that because they also believed in those people back in those days in Denmark. But yeah, you can also use it for England because the author is English. Oh, the author. I mean, it's Loki's book, not Louis. But yeah, the supposed author. Yeah. Uh, and yeah, and it's also set in England, so you can use it for both of those places, really. Also, just in general, this book very very good. Yeah, it is a middle grade book, yeah, but me as a 30-year-old love this to pieces. So yeah, and also like if you want to like participate in a read fun, it's also fun to like also always good to have like some books that are middle grade and YA because then it's kind of quicker to get through. And also lots of pictures. So yeah, quicker to get through, but still amazingly quality. Middle grade doesn't have to be bad quality. And then we have Skullduggery Pleasant Armageddon Arrow here, which I talked about last year. Of course I have to recommend a Skullduggery book. I haven't really read any new ones like since last year, but yeah, it's one of those like I'm always gonna recommend. So this is a collection of short stories in Skullduggery Pleasant world. So and yeah, Skullduggery Pleasant you can use for different places. So the main like characters, Skullduggery and Valkyrie and main characters, they live in Ireland, and a lot of the books take place in mainland Ireland, but a lot of them like have a chapter or two in London, so you can also use it for England. Uh, there's at one point there's Australian character. I'm not sure he's in these books, but yeah, honestly, I'm holding up one book, but I'm kind of recommending the whole shebang, the whole universe. So yeah, there's an Australian character in here someplace as well. There's there's a lot of characters in it, so the characters are from a lot of places. Yeah, also in the one of the one of the newer books, there's a Icelandic character. So yeah, you can also use it for that. So yeah, lots of options really. Then we have Charlie Anandas and League of Shadows, which I read last December. Very, very good. So this is all about Hispanic mythology. So I suppose you might think, well, Hispanic mythology. This is Eurovisionathon. How's Hispanic gonna work? Well, this one, some scenes set in Portugal, some scenes set in Madrid, Spain, and then some scenes are set in Latin America. But yeah, there's two scenes, well, some important scenes that take place in Portugal and Spain. So for that, you can use one of those countries if you want to. Also, yeah, amazingly good book. So just amazing, good excuse to pick up this book, really. And then we have this whole universe or series. Well, it's a spin-off. It's a spin-off. There's a spin-off series to this one, but this is kind of this is the original series, Mythos Academy. Uh, and yeah, I feel like people talk way too little about this one, and kind of deserves more love, at least in my heart. It is a YA YA series, YA mythology series. So like in this world, all the myths are happening. It's one of those books where all the myths are true, not just one myths, but like all the pantheons are real. So this one you can use it for Norse mythology, so like yeah, and the Norse countries, Greek mythology, Roman mythology. Yep. So Italy or Greece, different places there really. There's a British uh, character here. I think maybe several British characters in this, so like British teachers and stuff. So yeah, you can use it for a lot of places really. So yeah, have at it really. Also yeah, just great book in general. And then we have Love is for Losers by Rebecca Briggeman. So this author, she was raised and born in Germany, but she now lives in England. This story is set in England. So yeah, you can use this one for Germany or England. So yeah, you can pick your choice there really. And yeah, just honestly, it's a very, very funny book. I heard about this recommended like 2 or 3 years ago because they were like making a video of like funny reads people should check out. And then I thought like, you know what, I want to read a funny book. I read it one, and yeah, it's very, very funny. So yeah, that's very true. This book is so funny. So yeah, definitely check it out. And then we have yeah, so I was about to say like then we have a place, but yeah, it's a good yeah. Anyway, so a Caribbean heiress in Paris actually works with two places as well because the Caribbean heiress. Okay, uh, so the beginning of the book takes place in Paris. Well, I suppose the very beginning of the book takes place in a boat, but like yeah, like the beginning of the book takes place in Paris, so France, and then at the end of the book, the half half apart the the last part of the book takes place in Scotland, which I suppose yeah, Scotland doesn't participate in Eurovision because they're still part of the UK, but the UK takes part in Eurovision, so yeah, UK or Paris. But I suppose now these are really places that are difficult to find books with book set around, but still, I mean, this is an amazing, amazing series. Well, series, well, the first one series, but yeah, amazing book. So should definitely check it out. So yeah, this book I highly, highly, highly recommend. If you read historical fiction before, historical romance before, if you haven't, either way, it's an amazing read. Check it out. Then we have Starry Nights by Daisy Whitney. Takes place in Paris. It's set during summer and it's a quite fun. I would say it's a YA magical realism. It's not magical realism. It's kind of like okay, so there's magic in it, but it's kind of like quirky magic. It's not like it's not one of those books where you have vampires, werewolves, and the whole to do. This is more like one kind of magic. And I'm not gonna say anything more because I want you to go in into it blind and be surprised. And yep. Then we have England. A bit more England after a while, but yeah, I'll do this first. So we have The Governess Gambit by Erica Riley. I could also be go with some of the other books in the series, but yeah, I suppose in it's also sounding I suppose for like the whole of this series. The Winchester siblings, amazing series, historical romances with also they all have some some mystery plot to them. So yeah, just a very good series. And this is a noveletta, so if you want noveletta, a novella. So if you want shorter reads, also check out this one. And then we have Things a Bright Girl Can Do by Sally Nichols. Takes place during the 1910s in England, all about the suffragettes having the right to vote, and it follows three different uh, young women who kind of yeah who are fighting for the right to vote. We have the Quaker, we have the Quaker and lesbian, we have the working girl and lesbian. Not as like a working girl, but like as in like she's from a working family. And then we have the high society woman who wants to go to Oxford, but of course you can't go to Oxford. You're a woman. You can't go and learn stuff because society. And yeah, well, I've read this. I suppose have I read it? Don't think I have. Yeah. Um, read it now quite a lot of years ago, but still amazing book. One of my favorites of all time, I would say, of all time. So yeah, maybe I should do video. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. And then we have A Kind of Spark by L. McNichol. This is actually the debut book by this author, and it's a middleweight book, and its own voices. Well, almost can't really. Well, yeah, its own voices book where both the author and the main character has autism. So I suppose if you kind of want to read some autism books in April because Autism April, you can check this book out. A very good book. Also, it's going to be a movie, so if you want to read a book and then see the movie, this is a good way to do that. And yeah, it's set outside of London. I feel like every book that's set in England is set in London, so I think it's kind of always fun to read books outside of London as well. And it's about being different, but it's also kind of about a local history. And yeah, I would say just kind of if you're in the mood for something like this, check it out. And then we have A Very Secret Society of Regular Witches by Sangu Mandana. So I'm probably not the only one who talked about this book in the last few months. It's been kind of everywhere, or like it came out last year, it was everywhere, and it definitely deserves it. It's a book that lives up to the hype. It's an amazing, amazing book. So if you're in the mood for something cozy and charming and found family and just amazing story in general, pick up this book. And then we have yeah, Australian books because yeah, Australia actually participated in the Eurovisionathon. I think it's been 5 years now, around 5 years. Maybe it might seem a bit weird to like have them included in it, but I suppose Eurovisionathon. I mean, in case you didn't know, Eurovision started after the Second World War as kind of a way to unite Europe, to like show that with music we can come together and yeah have a like common experience and stuff like that. And yeah, having Australia been in that, it's just kind of including and good. So yeah. So yeah, Australian books. We have The Named, of course, by Marion Curley. We have Old Magic by Marion Curley. This is a standalone. This is the first in her time travel series. Both I've talked about much a lot before. Yeah, and in case you haven't, if this is your first video about me, time travel books, both amazing, amazing books. Highly, highly recommended. I'm just gonna leave it there. And then we have Amelia Westlake Was Never Here by Erin Gough. So this is YA feminism book. It's all about taking down patriarchy. I suppose kind of feels like in a way like Veronica Mars in book form, though it's not like mysteries, but like yeah, it's kind of Veronica Mars. I feel like it's very much feminist character, so in that way, yeah. And I don't know what this one's here. Yeah, it's Australia, and then we have in a moment. I'm gonna jump back in for a moment to. I'm gonna do it at the end. You know, I'm gonna wait with this book. Yeah, just have a tease on it. But yeah, then we have Silkesøstre. Well, this is a Norwegian title for it, but it's a book by Sara Medberg. She writes historical fiction that's set in Finland and let's explain Finland and Sweden. So Finland used to be a part of Sweden, so they still have connections and all that stuff. And this is set in the 1800s, so in that time period, Finland was still very much part of Sweden. So yeah, I would say like if you like if you wanted to like Britain, but you wanted to learn something more interesting, check out this book because yeah, here it says like profound Britain, and honestly, okay, I would just read one Britain book, but yeah, so far the one I read was not impressed. TV series I enjoy. This one I would say kind of I enjoy more than Britain TV series in the book. So yeah, if you like, though I suppose yeah it's a bit cheesy, but yeah, if you like drama, romance, and yeah some cheesy and some mystery, check out this book. And yeah, I do know it's available in English as well, so that's why I'm picking up. So yeah, this one could go both for Sweden and or Finland. So yeah, I suppose probably do Finland first because Finnish books is that. Well, I suppose you could do that for Arturo Pasolini, who had like lots of books from years ago. Yeah. Anyway. Then we have Paybacks a Witch. So yeah, it's set in the US, but the American. The author is she was born in Serbia. She grew up in Hungary, in Hungary and Romania and Bulgaria. So yeah, any one of those places you can take this book and just enjoy it for that. And yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do those first. Then, sorry. Then we have Norway, which of course I have to recommend some Norwegian books. I am Norwegian after all. So this is actually a Norwegian comic. She's available, I think, it's available in more or less, I would say, like all languages. Probably not all languages, but I think it's quite a lot of languages. I don't know it's available in English, at least some of them. So it's Nemi. She's kind of been described as kind of like Wednesday Addams, but like for adults. And sometimes it's just kind of lots of pictures, and sometimes it's more text. And yeah, Nemi, she's just quirky and funny and philosophical, and I just love her so much. She started being published in 2000, I was saying, 2000, and then actually last December was the last issue of Nemi, which was quite sad. So yeah, so if you want to like mix up and do like some comic books and some other stuff than other stuff than like traditional books, Nemi is definitely a way to go. And then of course, as always, I'm gonna recommend The Raven Rings by Siri Petterson. And yeah, right now all three books in the first series are available in English, but they're also available in Italian, Spanish, Russian. I shouldn't say well, I mention Russia, but yeah, Russian, Bulgarian. I love languages. Finnish. So yeah, a lot of them languages are there. So like, not I think it's stupid to me to assume that you watching this is American or English. It could be something else. So yeah, it's available in a lot of languages. It's high fantasy, but it's kind of slightly based on Norse mythology. And well, it's high fantasy, but the second book kind of they go to Norway. So I suppose it's high fantasy the first book, and then the second book is portal fantasy because they go to a portal and end up in Norway and also in England. Yeah, they also and second book they go to England, Norway, and Italy. I want to say, yeah. So yeah, let's start. Highly recommended. And yeah, also if you want to kind of check out some non-fiction from Norway, we have Hiking from Hell by Are Kalve. It was translated last December. So he's a comedian, Norwegian stand-up comedian. Yeah, he's like written stuff and all that kind of. He does a lot of stuff. And like, there's a thing in Norway where like everyone loves to go hiking in the mountains, and so this author he doesn't really like to do that, but he kind of felt like everyone around him loved to go hiking, so he thought like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna try this hiking thing. So he hiked like I think it was 3 times, like both during the summer, winter. I think maybe 2 times during the winter, 1 time during summer. And yeah, so it's kind of his book talking about experience with that, and also kind of a bit of the history with Norway, and how we love to go hiking. And yeah, quite a fun book. And yeah, it's just a great offer. So yeah, definitely check it out. Yeah, and then we have from Denmark, we have, as I recommended before, but I'll never stop recommending it, The Shameless Daughter by Lena Kommerburn. And this is, I would say, quite definitely modern fantasy classic in kind of the world, well, at least in Denmark. It's the first in a quartet. It's middle grade. This first book is just like 210 pages, so yeah, quite short. They're all available in English and yeah, I think quite a lot of languages as well. And it's high fantasy, but it's kind of also like feminism based, quite like cool feminist aspects to it, and it kind of makes you also quite think now and then, like quite philosophical in some ways. So yeah, yeah, it's meant like it's written for 9 to 10 year olds, like yeah, 9, 10, 11, 12 year olds, but yeah, highly enjoyable when you're older as well. So yeah, that one for Denmark, definitely. And then we have The Little Grey Cells, The Quotable Poirot. This is a book of Poirot, the Belgian detective comic, the detective character. Um, so quotes. So yes, Agatha Christie is English, but Poirot is Belgian. So if you want something from Belgium, and like it's just it's just like yeah, some of the quotes are longer, but yeah, it's a quote book, so it's quite quickly read. So yeah, definitely check out this one. Good choice for Belgium, I would say at least. And then we have Men to Avoid in Art and Real Life. So so it's like they have used like real paintings and then like added text to it. I think it's kind of started as a Twitter thing and then yeah. So here I'm kind of thinking like yeah, I'm pretty sure I haven't checked out, but I'm pretty sure like some of the paintings are like from different people around Europe. So like it's not. I think like because I think the writing I think is by Americans, but like the paintings is by Europeans. So I was thinking this could work. Yeah. Anyway, yes. Or you could go with Women in Art. So it's one of those like biography books, and this is 50 female fearless women around the world in art. So it's both, and it's also like it's they can be taken as like interpret as like widely. So it's both photography, filming, architecture, painting, uh, or sculpturing. But yeah, all the different art types. And yeah, so they're from the whole world. A lot of them are European. A lot of them are other places. But yeah, so yeah, highly recommend this book. Read it last year. Very much enjoyed it. So yeah, blah blah blah. Yeah, and then last but not least, so this year you probably know this already. In case you didn't, so last year Ukraine won Eurovision, but since it's a war going on still, uh, the UK have decided to host it for Ukraine. So and yeah, and actually they're hosting the Eurovisionathon in Manchester. No, sorry, in Liverpool. Yeah, sorry, in Liverpool. Not as you would kind of think, London. Yeah, yeah, it's in Liverpool. So I thought maybe you want to read a book set in Liverpool. I have a book for you. Stonebroke Heiress by Danielle Owen Jones. This one takes place in Liverpool. At the beginning, it takes place in kind of the high society in Liverpool. Yes, Liverpool has high society and rich people. And then after a while, it kind of takes place in the dumps in Liverpool because this is kind of a riches to rags story, I suppose, in a way, because she starts as rich, and then she loses some money. She has to find a job. She has to move to a cheaper place and whatnot. So yeah, I suppose it kind of gives me like Legally Blonde vibes in a slightly way. Though I suppose it's not like a lot of same thing to do it, but I suppose it's kind of like fish out of water, kind of the same issues there, really. And yeah, I read it last year. Very funny book. Highly recommend it. And yes, so that's it for today for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any thoughts on the books I talked about, feel free to talk to me. And I'll have my own TBR for Eurovision coming up. But that's probably be a few weeks later. I suppose you might think like this this readathon doesn't start until April. Why am I having this video now? Well, maybe you want to buy some books and you want to check out if they're available online, and it takes some time to for the books to arrive to your house. Maybe you want to order them for the library, and it's our library waiting list, whatnot. I don't know. I just kind of felt like doing this recommendation video now, so here I am doing it. Oh, boo-hoo me being put early. Yeah. Anyway,